All right, right. But you did say that David only made eye contact with Robin. Did you think that perhaps Robin's very easy to talk to? I think he was nervous. Well, no. I think really this David wanted us to know that he was a family man, that he had grandchildren, that he was a cool dad. I felt like he was trying to impress her that he was a stand-up dude. And I don't know why in particular. You know what? In a completely different world and universe, I thought it would be cool if, Kody and David get along and just be friends. Hi, bestie. I have something that I was thinking about. I was watching the tell all, and Kody Brown was always trying to change the subject, and he didn't want to respond to questions and he didn't want to discuss what went wrong. And I get it's because everyone's moved on, but something felt different. It seemed more like Kody didn't want to close the topic because he didn't want to listen to anybody else's opinion. He didn't want to listen to anybody else's interpretation of what went on. He retained, he at one time even informed Suki that he did not wish to be gaslit by her or anyone else regarding what he went through or what occurred to him because they have a prejudice regarding what they observed. And actually, that's not so much about what the concept of gaslighting. Kody does not really understand what gaslighting is. He enjoys throwing the world word around. And I think it's ironic, but just so he gets it, gaslighting is really a type of psychological manipulation in which one's led to doubt his or her own perceptions, memory, and even sanity. It's a common tactic in DV or controlling relationships, and it's done for the purpose of controlling an individual. The gaslighter will deny he ever did it or said it, or will try to get the victim to believe that their own view of reality is incorrect. So he's attempting to state that I'm the victim of everyone else. The gaslighter minimizes the feelings or experiences of the victim, making them believe that their thoughts or feelings are invalid or unimportant. Again, he's attempting to claim that in order to be gaslit, you would need to be the victim. And he was the one who had all of the control within these relationships. And it says shifting blame. The gaslighter will deny responsibility by blaming the victim or getting them to feel they are the issue. The gaslighter will deny information or interact in a meaningful way, isolating the victim further by denying themselves, distorting facts, and redefining events. The gaslighter causes confusion and doubt. He really did a lot of gaslighting last night, and one of the gaslighting behaviors he employed was discussing how at some point in time, he had this idea about how he wanted to have a guy's weekend with David, which I'm certain is BS. And then David says something like, oh yeah, I mean, sure, we could do that, but there would be rules. And I think pretty strongly that the rules are that he would not go. You know what I mean? I think that David and Christine were doing their best to be gracious in the moment without promising they would never do it, But then when Kody was told that he would actually go for it, then Kody was like, no, no, we wouldn't do that. So it's like he contradicted himself, right? He's like, oh, I would do that. And then he would be like, no, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do. So he was the one actually gaslighting in this whole episode. But something that stood out about what was going on between him and Christine, and this was at the end of the episode, they were talking about him first meeting David, and he initially thought that David was attempting to hit on his wife. I mean, that's all but what he said. He was attempting to let us know that he's a good man, that he's a family man, that he's a great grandfather, and he's a cool dad. And I just did not know what his intentions were. Meaning in the world of polygamy, if a guy does that, they're trying to like hit on your wife. I don't know. It's clear to me that Kody still looks at other men as competition and that he still needs to mark his territory. And Robin, for her own part of this, refused to watch videos that of Christine was trying to deny that Kody had any jealousy of David and Christine's relationship, and that he's always red and his complexion is always red. So he wasn't mad at David, and perhaps that's true. And perhaps he didn't really get jealous of Christine, but perhaps he was really thinking David was going to hit on his wife. Honestly, I don't think Kody has any jealousy towards Christine anymore. I don't think he even wants Christine in any way. But I do know that a lot of this hostility that they're facing and his actual unwillingness to talk about Christine, or even like, on the one hand saying, oh yeah, we should do this, and then the next minute calling her undermining. Well, I did a search and this was filmed in October. Christine put on her Instagram. It was October early, like 2nd or 3rd that they were in Sedona filming this which means that when they were in Sedona, Christine had already made the filings for child custody, paternity, and child support. So let that marinate for a sec. I would have to spend so much time talking about it beforehand and just be like, I mean, I'd be wrecked before. I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. And he and Dave would be like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. I'm here. I got you. You have a lot of nervousness about that and a lot of nervousness about being around them right now because who he thinks I am isn't me. I gave it all. Whatever I did was for the family. Whatever he needed, I did. Because when I do something, I am all. It was fairly obvious to me that Christine is afraid to be near Kody and afraid in a way that I feel like there are things that occur that we don't know. But the farther she is from him, it's clear she has anger and frustration, and she desperately wants him to be held accountable. It's extremely clear that Christine, more than any of the rest, desires to call out Kody for being the abusive man that he was. It is extremely clear to me that Christine has had more time away to view in clarity. I believe just being with her husband, David, has done a lot of. I know David has talked about getting her into therapy, and it, in a lot of ways, almost seems like she's been through some therapy. I'm sure she has, because she was explaining to me how Kody took advantage of the women, how he manipulated them, he played games with their heads, he led them on. He was very cruel to them, manipulative, mind games, abusive, using them. She's really clearly linking what she was subjected to and what all of us observed, that he was playing mind games. And I believe when they were discussing them being in the same room, she is anxious because when you are with the person who abused you and you most likely have PTSD over it, she has mentioned that she has PTSD from what went on in Flagstaff. So I guess that's true. It can set things off because he would be in a room with her and attempt to tell her something that's not true, because individuals like Kody don't change. They can't change. He doesn't want to change. He has either controlling or cheating or closing things off and shutting people away so that he can manage, and he'd never own up to it. And even when he does own up, it's, in my view, it's very much in order to close down a conversation. It's not because he is actually accountable. And while she's speaking and she's explaining that she's afraid to be around him, it would cause her so much anxiety because he would speak to her in such a manner that he would tell her untrue things. It's extremely easy for individuals who have been abused by their abusers to get pulled back. So it's extremely important that sometimes individuals stand firm and draw a line. And I just know this from personally going through this. I'm not a psychologist, but she had filed for child support and custody and paternity like 2 or 3 weeks prior to this being filmed. So clearly, there must have been a reason why she did that. And the reason that she was nervous and frightened to be near him, there is a reason why she did what she did, for truly and for herself, so that it could be decided in a court, because they were not able to do it privately. But it was also really clear that Kody wasn't pleased about the fact that she had done this because of his reaction to this suggestion that in the future, perhaps someday, they might all go out together. And she literally said, yeah, a potential double date in the future. She was, we just haven't healed that much. Have you guys seen each other that much to heal? Perhaps that would be a first step. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps not. Why? Personal reasons. Perhaps not having the first date, or perhaps not having a double date. No, Christine's very undermining. I don't think so. I don't want to talk about it because there's nothing left to be said right now. Then he lied and stated that he would organize a get-together with David, after stating that he got along better with David, after stating that he and Christine don't communicate and perhaps they could communicate in the future, but they just didn't. And then when they were confronted with it about maybe hanging out with her and them and doing a double date, by the way, which is never ever going to happen, I believe that Christine and David were just being polite. I don't think that they ever would really hang out with Kody and Rob. But then Suki tells him, well, why don't you get together? Why can't you heal this? And he's like, personal reasons. She's very undermining, and then won't discuss it. And then it was kind of awkward. I had to edit out all this dead space that he was just looking at her, Suki, and not saying anything. And he at one time picked up a piece of lint and placed it on the ground. And then she was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, and he was just being kind of dominant. And I could just, if that would have had steam rising out of his ears, that's kind of how I saw it. And undermining is actually not something I would say about Christine. And undermining is actually what narcissists do. They attempt to devalue people, downplay, deflect. And, I'm like, what does he mean by undermining? What does he mean to undermine someone? That it's what the action or process of reducing the effectiveness, power, or capability of someone or something, especially gradually or secretly, reducing the effective power or capability of a person or thing. So undermining their position or authority, usually in a sneaky or subtle manner, making someone less able or confident, making them less stable he's attempting to suggest that that Christine has some degree of power over him, that she has the power and the authority to undermine him, right? And I don't think that he actually understands what undermining is. But if he really feels that he's being undermined, he doesn't want anybody to push him off of his authority. He doesn't want someone to undermine his position. He doesn't want someone to undermine his confidence. So actually, he doesn't want to hear her experience and what she's gone through. He doesn't want to hear how his actions affected her. He doesn't want to hear the truth. He just wants to deflect, because if he doesn't have to speak to her, apparently he can remain in his little bubble of self-righteousness. But what I think he is trying to do with undermining, and this is just my opinion based on the way he was behaving, he didn't want to speak of Christine at all. I'm sure my belief that he was angry about the child support, that he was upset that she was pursuing child support, because when she left him, he made her swear that he wouldn't do that to him, which is so ridiculous. You can't actually prevent a person from seeking their legal rights for a child. You can't coerce someone to promise not to do child support, because legally under the law, he has to. So he's essentially asking her not to obey the law and then be fine with him disobeying the law and not taking care of his child. And any individual who manages to get out from under one such as that is going to do what's right for the child, because ultimately it's about what's right for the child. And what does it communicate to the child if you don't fight on their behalf, right? What does it tell the child, that if you don't fight, that their other parent, does what's best for them? She's setting an example, really, that she fought for her daughter. She's also making legally clear who has paternity or who has custody, what the custody agreement is, and then he's bound by an order with the court on paying child support. That was all just settled out on the 20th, but this was like the 2nd or 3rd of October, and she filed for support in September, like around mid-September 12th or 13th. So he's fuming right now because he's, in my view, angry that she had the temerity to pursue child support from him. And at first he battled her and filed a counterclaim against her, which everybody was like, he is so vindictive. That is so stupid. Why would he do that? And really turned 15 in April. And when she turned 15, I mean, the moment she turned 14, the judge has to consider her account. And when she's 15, she's finishing her first year in high school. They're not going to take her out of high school and shove her off to Flagstaff. Kody does not want, truly, he does not want to have her in his house on a full-time basis. If he wanted truly in his house full-time, she would have been in his house full-time when Kody was with Christine. But he never loved truly, at least in my opinion, judging from his actions. He left that baby the moment it was born because he was pursuing Robin. So he fought for the sake of fighting her, to spite her. That's how I perceive it. And Kody also states that commentary upon him is bad commentary, that the internet is totally wrong about him, and he's obviously offended by what we say and our opinions of his stance, because again, we likely are undermining his authority and undermining his sense of self. But with the chance to literally, attempt to do the right thing here, he won't, which means he is still playing games with his head. He just tells you anything that he believes he can say to get out of it. And I really don't think that Christine and David would ever actually want to be in the same room as Kody or Robin. Janelle was explicit that she doesn't even want to be in the same room as them. She doesn't want to be near them. Janelle was less willing to criticize Kody for the reason why she didn't like him, less inclined to call it out on why they couldn't get along. But Christine was like going for the jugular on how horrible he was to women, how he treated them, how he hurt them, left them, neglected them, disposed of them. I mean, Janelle mentioned that Kody, during COVID, explained to them that he did not wish to be in these relationships anymore because they were going to shorten his lifespan. And I'm guessing because he's explaining the stress of it, and that due to that, he did not wish to be in polygamy anymore because it would cut his lifespan. And he goes and says something like, yeah, I didn't want to be with them. Great, I pushed them out. I wasn't interested in it anymore. Is that enough? Is that enough of me to take accountability? I wasn't interested in them. Well, Kody, if you just would say that and mean it. But Janelle stated that Kody and Robin will never own up. And Christine states that Kody will never own up. And I don't believe that Kody intends that Christine will sabotage him. I don't believe that he likes Christine, because Christine will hold a mirror in front of him, and narcissists despise being around the individuals that are truth tellers. And Christine is clearly still his scapegoat, because Christine is the only one who is willing to confront him. Honestly, people are gonna say, well, she needs to get over it. I believe that healing for anyone who's been through a relationship like this is to speak about it. And I believe that these women have a right to speak as honestly as they need to for as long as they can, because what they went through was hell, absolute hell. So what do you guys think? Is this why Kody was fuming with anger? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye guys.